Concept getters, how are you? Are you good? Cool, man. All the best with your exams, and I don't want to waste any more of your data and time because you're under pressure. I know, I understand. So I just want to go straight to this one. I love calling this type of questions the logic based questions, and they require you to have a very good foundation on number systems. So if you know that your strength is not logic, just know these type of questions are going to be challenging for you, or we're going to be challenging for you, but because Mr. says here, obviously you're going to nail them, right? So let's do this one. They're telling us to solve for x and y simultaneously. When you look at this question, you don't see two equations like the conventional simultaneous type of questions where you have equation 1 and equation 2, right? On this one, you only have one equation. But logic tells us something here. So let me show you something. Every time when you have like two brackets, squared plus bracket, you see became equated to 0. The question you should be asking yourself is, what can be in here and what can be in here where whatever that is in here and in here are squared, the answers, when you add them, they can give you 0. Other people will be like, well, if I have a negative number here and a positive number here and those numbers are equal, chances are I can get a 0, right? But then remember, the square, whatever that is inside, if it is squared, the answer will always yield positive answers. So can we have a number in here and a number in here that will be squared and become positive, and when you add them they can give you 0? The answer to the question is nah. So if that can't be the case, so what is it that we can have in the brackets, right, that can yield 0 when added? It's only 0, guys. You can only square a 0 and square another 0 and add the answers and get a 0. Which means when we go to this question, my argument is this inside here. Let's go back to the question. This inside here and this inside here should be 0, so that the 0 squared and the 0 squared can give us this 0 here. That's the logic. So which means I'm going to go straight to the answer and say, oh, so I need 2 zeros to be added in order to get a 0, which means this is only logical if 2x minus y is 0, or if x plus 6 is equals to 0. That's the first step. That's the most difficult step because it requires this type of logic thinking. Do that make sense? Now, after this, come on, guys. After this, it's a normal simultaneous equation, right? What are you going to do? You're going to check the equation between the two that has only one variable to be solved, right? So you're going to say, oh, it's this one, which means I'm going to do what? I'm going to be like, oh, x plus 6 is equals to 0. Therefore, I will transpose the 6. Remember, when you transpose, the 6 will be negative because it was positive. If it was negative, it was going to be positive, right? So now I'll be left with x, and then when I transpose the 6, it's going to be negative 6. Once you get your x, you will substitute it onto x on the other equation. Do that make sense? So where I see x, I will substitute by negative 6. So I'll say what? I'll say 2 into negative 6 minus y is equals to 0. So that I can do what? I can solve for y, right? Then 2 into negative 6 is what? Is negative 12 minus y equals to 0. If I want to solve for y, I have to transpose the constant, the negative 12. If I transpose the negative 12, because it was negative, when it goes to the other side of the equal sign, it's going to be positive. So I will be left with negative y equals to positive 12. Remember, we are not solving for negative y, we are solving for y. So the coefficient of y is literally negative 1. So I will divide by negative 1 on both sides. So I will say divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1. So that this negative 1 and negative 1 cancel each other because they go into each other once, right? And then I'll be left with y being equated to, now 12 divided by negative 1. Remember, positive over negative is negative. So I'll be left with negative 12. Then I'll be done. Which means my answers are negative 6 and negative 12. and then I'm done. These type of questions are easy, right? But what I can acknowledge is there's always going to be that one step that requires a thinking out of the box method. Do I make sense? So with these type of questions, always treat past papers, check the memo, or just holler back at Mr. Say, comment and say, Mr. Say, how about these type of questions? And then I'll come to your risk. So yeah, guys, all the best with your exams again, and the next video will come in about an hour or so, or maybe tomorrow. We'll see. But otherwise, all the best, and this is it. Oh yeah, and remember, guys, remember to do what? To subscribe and share. Thank you.